Hello and welcome to this week's episode of For the Love of Chiropractic, 3 Keys of My Success. For this week's show, I got to interview a second-generation chiropractor who herself has been a chiropractor for 40 years. She has spent the majority of the last 20 years coaching other chiropractors, both here in the United States as well as internationally. Her energy is simply amazing, her story is phenomenal, and she shared with me that she coaches other chiropractic coaches. I hope you enjoy this phenomenal interview and hearing the stories with Dr. Deb Yoos. Hello and welcome to Secrets of My Success, part of For the Love of Chiropractic podcast series. On each episode, I'll be interviewing one highly successful doctor or business person, asking them what are their 3 keys of success or secrets they've used to make themselves so highly successful. So let's get started with today's show. I have the pleasure of having on the phone with me today a doc who was referred to me that I was told, oh my God, you have to talk to her. So I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Deb Yoos. Deb, are you there?
I am here, Dr. Roberts. Great to talk to you.
Oh my God, thank you so much for taking and making the time to chat with me today. So as we get started, please tell me, how many years have you been a chiropractor?
Wow, you're going to find out how old I am. I've 39 years.
So you went to chiropractic school when you were 2 years old. That's amazing.
Exactly.
So 39 years ago, you graduated from where?
From Palmer, Davenport.
Awesome. All right. So let's back up a little bit. How did you become a chiropractor? What led you into it?
So I am a second generation chiropractor. My dad graduated from Palmer in 1956. And so I started working for him when I was 12. I've worked every position within a chiropractic office. And I loved seeing the patients smile and happy. And they were always, he had a huge maintenance wellness patient practice. I think he averaged only 12 new patients a month at that time. And we saw about 400 a week. So I just loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved interacting with the people and the way that chiropractic helped them gain and maintain their health. So I decided probably when I was in junior high school, that's what I was going to do.
That's awesome. Okay. So your dad had a great practice. So you got out of school, and then what did you do?
So I got us out of school, and we had about 29 patients that were actually driving 110 miles each way to get to our office. And so Dad said, hey, Deb, what do you think about opening a practice in Shelbyville? And I don't know. I just said, okay, let's do that. And we did. Fast forward a few months, and we launched with a patient appreciation day on a Sunday. We sent out 20 some odd letters to our current patients. We put an ad in the newspaper, and on that Sunday, myself and 3 other chiropractors, we saw 59 new patients.
Wow. In one day?
Yeah. In one day. Talk about overwhelm. That's crazy.
That's amazing. Okay, and when was that? How long after the practice opened?
We'd been open 5 days, and then we did that. Yeah.
So literally by the end of the first month, what did the practice look like?
Well, by the end of my first 6 weeks in practice, I was seeing 250 visits a week, and I had an associate that I didn't even know what to do with. So, I can't sleep, my blood pressure dropped, I wasn't eating well, and I called my coach at the time, Dr. Chuck Gibson, and I said, Chuck, what's wrong with me? And he said, Debbie, would you rather have success symptoms or failure symptoms? And I've never forgotten that all these years. I
love that. So that's amazing. Now I completely understand why our mutual friend said I had to speak to you, because you're one of my new heroes. So I need to understand a little bit more. So tell me what makes you unique. What's different here?
Well, I chose a unique path.
What does that mean?
I sold, we had 2 high volume clinics. I sold them, and I began coaching other chiropractors. The uniqueness of that is I did a lot of it overseas. So I helped launch a couple of clinics in India. I then spent 3 years living and working in Singapore for a group of 29 clinics based in 4 different countries. I was in charge. I was the director of development and training for the CAs and the doctors. I remember at one point in time having CA training going on in 4 languages. I only spoke one of them. So I think that makes me a little bit unique anyway.
Wow, that is just so cool. So, so at what point? So at what point did you come back to the United States?
So I came back to the United States in 2015. My mom's health started to decline, and it was time for me to come back. I've continued coaching with the group over there. We are now in 7 countries. With way more than 29 clinics. So it's been great. Chiropractic in Asia is amazing. They don't have all the misconceptions that we do. But I came back to the U.S. and I still coach overseas, and I do it via WhatsApp and online. And I do visit there about 2 to 3 times a year.
Wow, that is just awesome. So, with all these things that you've done, from obviously you grew up in chiropractic, and then went to chiropractic school, opened your own office, and which took off, like a rocket, and then opened multiple offices in multiple countries in different parts of the world. So let's really start to focus in. Let's talk about what you see as the 3 keys of success. What would you say they are? Let's start one at a time.
Okay, very good questions. I believe that first we have to believe in what we're doing. So knowing your why, knowing your purpose is most important. That's what makes this not a job, not a profession. Chiropractic is so ingrained in me. It's a calling. And my purpose is to help as many people gain and maintain health through chiropractic as possible, either through adjusting patients or now through helping the doctors that I coach. So if you don't know your why, it makes it very difficult to know how you're going to get where you want to go.
Yeah, I love that. That is absolutely so powerful. So if knowing your why is number 1, what's number 2?
Okay, so anybody that knows me on the coaching side of things or on the practice side of things knows that communication is very important. I feel that communication is very important in practice, so excellent communication. What I mean is the ability to create relationships with the patients, engage them in their care. Why are they there? Why are they in your office? Most of the time we think they're there because they have back pain, neck pain, headaches. But it's not about the symptoms. I believe it's about how the symptoms are affecting their lives. They've either lost the ability to do something or they're fearing the loss of being able to do something. And when you find out those things through asking great questions and actively listening, that's how you build a large wellness maintenance practice, which in my opinion is the easiest way to practice. The people are there because they know and they understand why. They're actively engaged in their care. I feel that we as chiropractors often fire hose our patients with information, especially on new patient consult and reported findings. And instead of fire hosing them, I believe that we should ask better questions and actively listen to the info that they're giving us. And this is going to help empower them to be more involved in their healthcare. So, for example, I was visiting a client in Kansas several years ago, and I was doing a tour of the office and doing a shadow office review. And I walked up to the front desk, and a patient was leaving, a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, and it was beautiful outside. And the CA said, "Oh, what are you going to do today? It's so pretty outside." And the woman said, "I'm going to take my kids to the park and play with them." And the CA kind of brushed it off and said, "Oh, that's great." And the patient said, "You don't understand. I haven't been able to do that for the last year because of my back pain. today's the first day we're going to go do this again.
That's beautiful.
That's how you have lifetime patients. If you know what their why is.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that being able to communicate well with them and build a relationship is, I know that was a huge key to my success when I launched the practice. Obviously, I had a great mentor in my dad, and he as well would say excellent communication.
So let's go back to your dad for just a minute. You had told me something about your dad when you and I had first spoken. When your dad was in practice way back in the day, mm-hmm. Did he ever go to jail because of chiropractic?
He didn't go to jail.
Tell me why not.
Because warrants were issued for his arrest multiple times. And the only reason he did not go to jail was because the judge's sister was our CA. The Democratic Party chairman was a patient. And the state's attorney was a patient. So they would call Dad and tell him they were coming to issue the warrants and arrest him and to get out of town. And so he would get out of town for a while. They couldn't find him, and then they would pigeonhole it. And then the whole process would start all over again.
I love that story. I had to bring it up. I hope you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My dad adjusted me yesterday. He's 93. Chiropractic saved his life. If I go back to why I'm a chiropractor, chiropractic saved his life, and it wasn't back pain, neck pain, headaches. He had severe seizures following a wrestling injury. And fast forward 5 years later, lots of medication, phenobarbital and Dilantin, and he finally got a chiropractor and had his first adjustment, never had another seizure for the rest of his life. So if it wasn't for chiropractic, you and I probably wouldn't be talking.
Yeah, and think of the exponential effect that his chiropractor, way back when, has now had on the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So none of us ever really know, by telling the truth about chiropractic to each one of our patients, how that exponentially can change the world, not today, not tomorrow, but 5 years, 10 years, a generation from now.
Absolutely correct. That's why we have to speak the truth. We, communicate it well so that they understand. Don't just, in today's times, we can't lecture them with information anymore, right?
No.
So they need to understand and get the big idea, right? Mm-hmm. All else will follow.
Exactly. All right. So that was a quite a sidebar, but it was a story that I just had to hear from you again. So we've talked about knowing your why and finding your why. We've talked about creating outstanding communication, sort of finding the patient's why. It's not that they want to get rid of their back pain. It's that they want to be able to take their kid to the park. So what's number 3 on keys of success?
So number 3 is probably also something that has not been common during your phone calls, but I believe that number 3 is to always stay in PTC with every patient. I'm hoping that your listeners will know what PTC is.
Just tell us anyway.
If not, it's present time consciousness. The way I describe it is that each patient should feel as if they are the only patient that you have for the day. You're totally engaged with them. You are totally there for them. You're actively listening. You're not thinking about what you're going to do when you get home. You're not thinking about how many other patients are in the reception area, or I'm going to be late for my patient consultation, or anything like that. You're right there focused completely on them. And they know it if you are or if you aren't.
Oh, absolutely. They can feel it.
Mm-hmm. They can. And when you stay in PTC, we don't realize sometimes what other people are going through, right? And we may be the only positive interaction that they have that day.
Oh, absolutely. We may be the only physical contact they have all day.
100%. And I learned back when I was young to give them a reason to smile, or my dad would say a big belly laugh. Mm-hmm. Try to do that on every visit. Again, they don't often get that, especially in today's times. the way that the world is today, and it goes so fast. So they coming in to see me should be like an experience and something they look forward to on every visit, so that as they go through active care and reach their maintenance wellness care, that they're excited about every visit. They can't wait to get there. They can't wait to share things with you and continue to be healthy.
Oh, exactly. I couldn't agree more. When you talk about PTC, this present time consciousness, something that I discovered years ago, it is absolutely so important to be doing that with your patient. And one of the things that I've had clients tell me over the years is they struggle with the work-life balance and, being at work and taking care of the kids and doing the housework. And it turns out PTC for every aspect of your life is the key. When you're with your kids, really be with your kids.
That's exactly right.
When you're with the patients, be with the patients. When you're with your spouse, be with your spouse. When you try and mix them, that's where it all gets mixed up. I'm with my kids, but I'm scrolling my phone. You're not with your kids.
Exactly. So if you think about my number 2 and my number 3, excellent communication and staying in PTC, that's all of life. The more successful you are at these two things, the more successful you're going to be in relationships in general.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is just amazing. So is there anything else you want to say about those 3 keys? Because I have another question I want to ask you.
Nope, I think we're good there.
All right. So you're a second generation chiropractor. Awesome. You've had high volume practices. You've helped to open and train docs literally around the world. Here it is, 2025. My question is, can a young doc who's getting out of school today, who's a first generation chiropractor, or a doc who's in practice and it just hasn't taken off yet the way they want it, is it still possible for that doc to become hugely successful in today's world?
Absolutely. 100%. People need us more than ever. They need all of us. I'm old, right? My dad's old. He's one of the few that's still living that experienced the practicing without a license. And so people are hungry for what we have. We sometimes are, I hate to use this word, but we're afraid to give it to them or tell them the real story.
Oh, absolutely. If we don't tell them, if you don't tell your patients, who's gonna?
Nobody.
Right. So, okay. Wow. Okay. So I gotta flip the coin. So having done all the things you've done, how would you define business success?
Wow. That's a great question. And different for every person. The one thing that I learned a long time ago was to never compare myself to anyone else, that my success, business or personal, was mine, wasn't for anyone else. So for me, this goes back to knowing my why and my purpose. I always equated success to the patients that I served, and obviously now for the other doctors and their staff that I serve. I knew that if I did this, the income and all of the things that it could bring to me would follow. So I'm sure you're familiar with be, do, have, right?
Of course.
Okay. So for me, it was my be. I needed to know who I be and why I was doing what I wanted to do, and then to do it. And then I knew the have would be there on the other end. When I was at Palmer years ago, one of the old epitaphs at the school and administration building, when you walked up the steps to enter the building, up above it said, "Enter to learn how." And as you exited the same building, it said, "Go forth to serve." And that just always resonated with me. So my ability to serve and the people that I'm able to serve is how I determine my business success.
Wow. I love that. I was just at Palmer Davenport for the first time this past summer. I didn't see that, but I hope it is still there. And thank you so much for sharing that. That's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. A lot of those epitaphs are gone, unfortunately.
Yeah. So if that's how you define business success, again, I'll flip the coin. How do you define personal success?
Wow. I bet you won't be surprised if it has something to do with service, right?
I'd be surprised if it didn't, based on what I've learned about you.
So for me, it's the satisfaction and the joy that I have at the end of each day, whether it's been adjusting patients and now it's coaching other chiropractors and their teams, seeing that success, especially with the docs now, young docs. I coach a lot of young docs, having helped launch over 130 practices in the last 20 years. I've worked with a lot of young docs, and the joy that they have as they grow and as they help people and they send me messages about the patients they helped that day, that gives me such personal satisfaction and personal success, knowing that I did my best to serve my patients when I was adjusting and now my coaching. That's personal success for me. Also serving my family, my friends, and my community to the best of my ability.
Yeah. So, all right, time is running short, unfortunately. So I have one last question for you. So if somebody has heard this and they've just decided, you know what, there's a line in the sand, they are ready to become successful, what's their first step? What's the first thing you would tell them to do?
Honestly, the first thing I would tell them to do, I would tell them their belief and their why. They need to know that. And I would suggest that they get a coach or a mentor, someone that can help guide them, someone that's been there, so that that cuts the learning curve down and can help push them forward faster. But unless they know why they're doing what they're doing, know what they want their ideal practice to look like, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, I believe that. That is absolutely fantastic. Wow. Dr. Deb Yoos, I can't thank you enough for taking and making the time and sharing your wisdom. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Well, Dr. Robert, I just want to say I am very grateful for you doing this. I've been telling all my clients to make sure that they start, if they're not already, listening to your podcast, because we need more people like you doing what you're doing to continue to spread the word of what I call real chiropractic. So thank you for having me on, and thank you for doing this.
Oh, and thank you. We'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. And that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.